地位を認めた。そう、剣は杖に届いたんだ。
Wistoria, Wand, and Sword, EP2. At the end of the episode there, was that a girl? Like, is Will's roommate a girl? If not, you know, that's just a boy in love. But like when the character spoke, I was like, oh, that's a girl. And I was like, yo, maybe it's one of those things where it's like, you know, girl pretending to be a boy or something like that. Or, you know, like I said, it's just a boy in love. But that kind of threw me for a loop at the end there. Mainly because of the little omelet rice that they made with a little heart, and they drew themselves and Will on there. I was like, yo, Will has he's got some riz, you know what I mean? And it's probably some unintended riz. Now, okay, here's my real thing with Wistoria, Wand, and Sword, episode 2. All the positive things I said in episode 1, they get brought forward in episode 2. Amazing animation, really cool fights, decent plot line, just really bombasticness of the show. Like, I think like the moments that they had this episode and last episode, I think like these like really cool like highs and these really cool fight scenes are just really elevate the show. And I think just based on that alone, like it's one of the better shows of the season. But I inherently do have some problems with this show, even though we did get some additional backstory here. And some of my questions that I had in episode 1 did kind of get answered here in episode 2. But I kind of wish that they reversed the way that they did the episode. Because like in episode 1, we just kind of jumped in and they gave us like a little, like, you know, some like they sprinkled in some nuances and context. But really, they should have started with, you know, going from him, you know, him and his little girlfriend when they were kids to him at 10 years old where his girlfriend's pieced out already. And now he's alone at the academy, and then got into what it went into. I just feel like the studio, you know, decided to the how do you say it? The timeline of events that they decided to kind of portray are just a little out of whack. So I'm gonna continue to hold my hat high and say the some of the things that I still have questions about, I think they're still gonna come to fruition. They just may not be in the particular order, or they may not be like done how I would choose. Now, I'm going to project to you kind of some of my issues with the show so far. And it may not even be issues. I think they're just questions and that curiosity. And you can say, you know, I can definitely say in my heart, my curiosity is piqued. But at the end of the season, whether or not these things truly get ironed out or answered will definitely be on how I like give this show a final rating. Like based on the questions I have, could take it from a 9 to a 7 if these things just continue to be a mystery. Now let me plant them to you. Let me go off with just this episode. So this one had Edward. Well, one of my initial questions. Let me try and gather my thoughts. In episode 1, I was very much like, why are all the teachers bullying this kid? They can't be completely ignorant of the fact that he doesn't have magic, but he's allowed to be at the school by the headmaster or the principal or whatever. This episode answered that question. So I was like, win, let's go. So the headmaster, extremely powerful mage, could very well be a magia vendor, whatever you call it. Could be a magia, whatever they call it, you know, magia wand or whatever, but very extremely powerful. And basically when Will was 10, the headmaster has already kind of like seen his abilities, and she kind of put it forth right. And based on his current abilities, he's allowed to stay at the school. And her thing is, she's interested to see on when a sword wants to be a wand and what it ends up looking like. So right there, the questions of why was he allowed to school, you know, what's going on there, those for the most part were answered. The next piece, and again, I'm gonna stick with this episode, then I'll circle back to all the other looming questions I have. The second piece is, well, we have these teachers teaching kids to go and be magia vendor and go do the top of the tower and stuff, but like, is it one of those things to where they, you know, I can teach but I can't do? And that's kind of the case. This Edward dude is obviously a dark mage, and apparently he was close to being magia vendor. He went and he climbed the tower, and the headmaster gives him a task like, hey, you know, he comes in bitching and complaining. You know, he wants Will gone because, you know, apparently every mage, you know, these 80% of all these mages got to stick up their ass. So he wants Will gone. So she's like, okay, cool. Test him. If he passes your test, I don't want to hear shit from you anymore. But, you know, and he gets to stay. But if he doesn't, you can do whatever you want. And he does it, and he takes Will, right? And he grabs Will, and he doesn't even allow this boy a weapon. He just straight up, no weapon, no wand, no nothing. And that was such a piece of shit move to me. And it made me like the episode more, but it made me like the episode, but it made me hate this teacher because he just expects Will to fight like barehanded as he, you know, pumps out these magical spells and stuff. Thankfully, you know, again, he's been raising up all the girls on the side on accident, but one of the girls who's in love with them, she sees Kiki, which is the little, you Kiki, do you love me? You see the little cat thing. And she gets his sword. She throws his sword. He overcomes the teacher. Teacher shuts the F up. He passes the test, okay? So I think that was cool. I think his teacher's a POS because he expected him to fight without his sword. The one thing that kind of gives him the bearing. It's like him fighting without his wand kind of deal. So it's like, okay, once they were on an even playing field, he was able to surpass him. He probably could have from the beginning if he had his sword from the beginning, but instead he got, you know, 75% beat up, and he was able to fight him with 25%. So that was kind of the deals, you know, that was kind of the deal there. All right, now all the questions that I have, and let me go into this at the last half of the video here. But if you want to click off, this episode is pretty good, 8 out of 10. So some of the questions I have is, his girlfriend apparently was Magia Vendor at 10 years old. They explained to us that to get Magia Vendor, you need to either get to the top of the tower and defeat, you know, the electric boogaloos at the top, or you create some world-changing spell, or you get like 7,500 points or something like that at the academy. Basically, like you graduate with like super duper duper honors, like some crazy number, okay? So there's multiple ways to get to the top of the thing. Apparently, his girlfriend did this at 10 years old, and she just went, Will, peace out, bitch. I'm out, bitches. And she just went, I'm out. And she left her boyfriend behind. Okay, so that immediately that tells me that she's kind of a POS, because now she's looking down at him like, when is he gonna get here? Is he gonna get here? It's like, yo, you suck. So you just left your boy down there? Okay. So that's the first thing. Second is, okay, what does she do at 10 to become that? I think in the first episode, they mentioned that like she was a witch or a mage like no one's ever seen before. So, but what does she specifically do? Does she just climb the tower at 10 years old? Does she create some crazy spell? I need that spelled out for me. No pun intended, specifically. Again, that's a question that I have that's looming. Second thing, when you get to the top of the tower, they just keep showing her sipping tea and like laying on the bed and stuff. It's like, well, what do? You get to the top of the tower, what do you now do? Do you just fight with the other 7 individuals up there? Are you going on quest or conquest to go do missions for the world? Do you literally just sit there and sip tea and age? Like, what do you do? They haven't covered, like, what's the point of being that magia vendor, whatever. Like, what do you do? Because they just, like I said, they just keep showing her sipping tea, looking down, being like, I wonder when Weedle will get here, or if he will ever get here. It's like, well, are you not allowed to come back down? Like, once you get to the top, can you not come hang out at the school? Can she not come and see Will? Can she not come and leave the top of the tower? It just makes no sense to me. So that's another kind of like, question, 𝐒𝐻𝐴 kind of thing. Other question is they mentioned that there was a big battle between dwarves and mages at some point. Mages gulfed the dwarves, but they were considered warriors. Obviously, Will is not the type A warrior. He's like some kind of special hybrid kind of thing. Like he's extremely strong. So if there was an army of 10,000 of Wills, okay, that doesn't make sense that they just lost to mages, right? So that's another question on what is Will specifically. And again, these questions could be answered later on. And I think there was one more thing that I kind of had. Well, it was about Kiki the cat. Like, what's her deal? Like, he obviously has a familiar, so I kind of like I want to know what's Kiki's deal. Like, she seems to just be somebody that they can use kind of like as a catalyst to watch Will. But you know, how does he have a familiar kind of thing? And then I think there was like another thing that I had here. I'm gonna let that one go. I'm just gonna say that was it. But there's just a lot of questions that I have kind of surrounding, you know, his girlfriend and everything else. I do like that he exclaimed this episode that, hey, I'm trying to get to the top because I want to be with my love. I want to be my lover. You know what I mean? I don't know. So, anyways, some of those things kind of, you know, they take down because I just feel like we haven't gotten full context. They just kind of take down my enjoyment a little bit because, like, the show just kind of explains, like, oh, just don't think about it, you know? Just enjoy the fight, you know? So it's like, well, I have to. So anyways, those are my thoughts. I kind of went over on my time. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. I'm looking forward to reading all your guys' comments there. But overall, show's fire, so that's pretty good. All right, my friends, I'll see you next week.